Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'll be covering the weather for August 30th of 2023, and currently we have an enhanced risk for the eastern coast of the United States, extending from North Carolina into South Carolina. This is because of Hurricane Idalia that has made landfall earlier today and has trekked across Florida and Georgia and is now impacting parts of the coastal region of South Carolina and North Carolina. Our threats for this mainly include the threat for multiple tornadoes across this region, as well as the threat for flash flooding and storm surge along the coast, as well as a small 5% wind threat for the entire area, but no hail threat. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, you can see that Hurricane Idalia right now is a Category 1 hurricane as it begins to track on land. It has been downgraded because overall it has been tracking mostly on land, so it hasn't really been able to keep itself going using the intense heat from the water, so it is going to die down slowly and then go out into the Atlantic Ocean again, and then either stay somewhere out in this vicinity or maybe even possibly come back for another round to southern Florida, bringing the possibility of some flooding. However, only some models indicate that it could circle back around. It's very unlikely that that will happen, but it is possible. But overall, the main thing that it looks like it's going to do is it's just going to go out into the Atlantic Ocean and just sit. But as for today, you can see that some storms out in the Atlantic Ocean are expected to be circling back around Hurricane Idalia. You can see a little bit of more isolated systems that could be possible out across the coast. And as this blows inward towards the coast, that is going to allow for storm surge along the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina, as well as these storms could also have the potential for tornadoes and some damaging winds as they move onshore, but as well as the threat of flash flooding and the threat of, again, storm surge does stand for this location as well. Taking a look at our total rainfall, I do want to touch on our flash flooding potential as Hurricane Idalia does begin to continue moving across Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. You can see that we are expected to have tons of rainfall and the potential, a very high potential for flooding up across parts of southeastern South Carolina, Georgia, and even eastern North Carolina as well. And you can see a very large area where we are expected to have intense rainfall, and some of the locations you can see goes above the chart. These values are off the chart, and that's why we have these like just empty pockets here, because the values that are being given to us are off the chart. So we are expected to have absolutely insane amounts of rainfall with Hurricane Idalia, again adding to the potential of flash flooding with, again, the potential of storm surge along the coast. Taking a look at our dew points, you can see for the coastal regions of South Carolina and North Carolina, you can see that we are expected to have dew points that are going to be somewhat higher than what would be typically possible because of the intense amount of rainfall across this region, leading to increased dew points, as well as the circulation from Hurricane Idalia going in a counterclockwise motion. You can see it pulling in moisture from the Atlantic Ocean, which is going to lead to increased dew points across the coast and overall increased instability drawn in from the Atlantic Ocean, which is going to allow for a potential for severe thunderstorms along the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina, as well as with the standing threat of storm surge and the threat of damaging winds and flooding. Taking a look at our instability, most of our instability is going to be fairly weak over a vast majority of the impacted region because of Hurricane Idalia using most of it up. However, again, with the winds pulling in instability and moisture from the Atlantic Ocean, we could definitely see some increased instability along the coast, which will definitely support the possibility of tornadoes, with the wind shear that we are expected to see from Hurricane Idalia supporting the possibility of multiple tornadoes across the coast. As for wind shear, I didn't really take a look at our 500 millibars because we already know what's causing this enhanced risk region. However, as I did explain yesterday, hurricane is one massive rotating storm, so strong veering of the winds is required for the storms to rotate around the eye. So that is why we have a strong directional shear associated with hurricanes, and why we are going to see the possibility of multiple tornadoes along the coast. Especially with the instability being drawn in from the Atlantic Ocean, we could definitely see the possibility of multiple tornadoes along the coast, as well as the threat of some damaging winds with these storms, and from Hurricane Idalia itself. Taking a look at our energy helicity index readings, as I did mention, the instability that is being drawn in from the Atlantic coast and the strong directional shear that is expected with Hurricane Idalia. Again, you can see that we are expected to have a strong widespread energy helicity index readings up all along the coast, supporting the possibility of multiple tornadoes across this region. You can see that we are expected to see energy helicity index readings that are going to be getting up into the 14 across some region in South Carolina, and then a large that strong area there, especially with the widespread energy helicity index readings, but a small region here of very strong energy helicity index readings is expected to continue moving northward across the Atlantic coast. So we could maybe see an increased tornado potential in that particular location, but overall we are expected to see the threat of this 10% tornado threat, and again the threat of multiple tornadoes across the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina because of this these strong energy helicity index readings that would definitely be indicative of this potential. In fact, these energy helicity index readings are some of the strongest I've ever seen, getting into the 15s. That is extremely strong, and that's getting very far on the bar up top. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the social through Project Gladiator, and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas that I covered for severe weather for today, please stay with alert for the time being, and hopefully I will be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.